Okay, so the this is a very different kind of video. I wanted to try this video out just because it's a little bit different. It's a bit of change of pace. So I want to try something a bit new today, and so I'm gonna use my intellectual side of my brain a bit more instead of all that. So without further ado, let's get started on the 25-year-old thinker. So let's get to the basics first. So the context around this is that Dr. K or Healthy Gamer GG did a whole stream about different stuff, and then this meme kind of popped up because on his subreddits you'll find that people post stuff like this, like the 25-year-old loner, 25-year-old thinker, ADHD doomer, all these different like archetypes of people and the way that they think. It all ties to like mental health because some people genuinely will go and think this way, and so this actually really interested me because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try, like, I want to try something different, but also like I want to give my little 2 cents on this information. I want to give it a shot. Now, must disclose, I am not a psychiatrist. I do not study any field of psychology whatsoever. This is just what I've noticed and some stuff that I pieced together myself. That's what it is. Okay, I'm just here like talking about stuff. That's what I am. I'm just a guy on a chair talking about different things. So I would actually encourage you guys to do your own research, and I'd really recommend as well. Like as I'm talking throughout this video, really think about the ideas that I'm presenting, and if you find yourself like projecting onto these, then it'd be nice to hear about y'all experiences, or if you find your or even not even not to share it, just reflect upon it. That's what I'm mostly gonna say. This is, like I said, this is more a discussion kind of video. So, without further ado, let's get started. And of course, I will also link the original stream down below because I highly recommend you should watch it. The stuff that I'm going to go over is more or less cliff notes because this stream is about 2 hours long, and I edited it down to about two clips, but there's actually 3 different points within clips that I thought appealed to me the most. So anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. Now, the 25-year-old thinker. So here's the image up ahead. I mean, if you saw the thumbnail, you're going to notice that it's the same thing here, but anyways. So has created entire anthologies of imaginary events, has had a multiple imaginary girlfriends, completely unaware of surroundings except when driving, imagines what it'd be like to start life over with everything he's learned, inner monologue has become his entire reality, can't understand new things, get caught in analysis paralysis, just thinks about things he already knows, he has no interest in any career, just wants to think, can't listen to music without pretending he's the artist, things are always better in my head, imagines success to cope instead of actually achieving it, barely reads, just thinks, hedgehog dilemma. You don't know what the hedgehog dilemma is? It's essentially when hedgehogs want to get warm, they have to get closer to each other, but they also have to stay like a certain distance. But yeah, I actually didn't know what that was until I looked it up. So anyways, we're going to go into the first clip because the first clip is the one that really appeals to me the most. Or at least, well, not appeals to me. They're all equally appealing, but this is the one that's really like, we don't really think about it, but it's really interesting that he puts it out there. So I'm going to play it for you guys right now.
This happens because the mind is out of our control. So the mind is an instrument, right? So it's just like any other part of our body. And the goal of the body is that the body and mind should be controlled by you. The body should not control you. You should control the body, right? And we run into all kinds of problems when people are not in control of their bodies. So like in the worst case scenarios, we get things like incontinence. And so in the same way that we can sometimes lose control of our body, we lose control of our mind. And so if you look at this person, what they end up with is a mind that does whatever it wants to. And we're going to dive into why it does all of these things. Everything is kind of stitched together. But there's one major principle to understand. See, we have to understand what the mind wants. So what does the mind hate more than anything else? What it hates more than anything else is boredom.
The big question I'm actually wondering when I read this is that what could lead to someone just staying in their head all the whole time? Because it happens to everybody, okay? Like all the stuff that I mentioned earlier, like the loner and this and that, everybody to a degree will exhibit something in these different categories. So I'm asking you guys, like, if you were to take a look, like what part of that whole like 25-year-old thinker really appeals to you, or what really speaks out to you the most? So just like I said, keep that in mind as I'm talking. So anyways, there's a lot of factors that go into it, of course. You have like how people were raised, their life experience, all this and that. But what I really wanted to focus on, and especially like a big old talking point that nowadays that it's been around for a little bit, but it always circles back to this idea. Well, it's actually two ideas, and the first one is of course like isolation, like loneliness, social isolation in general, and of course like scrolling on like in social media in general, not just scrolling mindlessly, just social media in general. And so keep in mind that in the mind of a thinker, if you're left by yourself, and keep in mind, Dr. K also mentioned boredom. You're by yourself, you're bored, and now you're being fed a lot of different stuff on social media. So I want you to put those together. So we're gonna do a little experiment, okay? Well, not experiment, but I'm gonna show you something. So the first thing I'm gonna show you is, of course, my Twitter feed. I'm gonna show you my Instagram feed, and then I'm gonna show you my TikTok feed. And you're gonna notice there's gonna be some stuff that's different. So while it's playing, of course, while I'm talking, I'm gonna be playing this, but try to pay attention to what I'm saying, and also try to look at what I'm scrolling at. And so when it comes to like at least social isolation, anyway, you're by yourself. You don't have much, no people to talk to. You don't have anyone to like challenge your thoughts. So in the thinker, you'll notice that they have a very particular set of reality that they're using, that their mind is projecting. Because like I said, they're bored and there's nothing else to do, and also they're by themselves. And so when you have nothing to challenge that reality, what you're going to notice is that you're just going to stay there. You're not going to grow. Because how do we really grow as people? We have to be put in situations that are uncomfortable. You gotta break the ice. You gotta bust out of your shell. And so what's going on with the tinker, in my opinion, is that they're basically it's almost like they're reinforcing their shell. It's almost like they're making the ice go like below 40, below zero, below something. And when that happens, there's no chance to grow out of being that person. And so you're just sitting there and you're just like, well, the way I see the world is the way that it should be. So why should I listen to you guys? Why should I listen to anybody else? In my head, everything makes sense. When in reality, not everything in your head is going to make sense. Maybe you didn't have 5 girlfriends in your head. You had 1. Or maybe you had a different kind of maybe the anthology of events that you happened where I slipped on a piece of ice and I did a backflip. You slipped on a piece of ice and you fell on your ass. Like, the difference is not really there. You see what I mean? And so, naturally, that's what I really think happens. So I actually want to read some very quick impacts of like social isolation on like the mental health in general. These are some quick side effects, of course. There's a lot of other things that happen, and some stuff isn't documented, some stuff is documented. You get the point. So, of course, thoughts of self-deletion and self-deletion attempts, less restful sleep, decreased ability to regulate eating, more stress, especially in the morning, and greater difficulty paying attention and doing complex tasks. So imagine that. You're in your head all day and you really can't do anything because your head has the ideal way that you should be going about it, but there's no practice. There's nothing. Like, there's nothing there. You know what I mean? You're just thinking. You're not even trying anything. You're not even attempting. Okay? You're not the 25-year-old attempter. You're the 25-year-old thinker. You're just gonna think how it goes. And you can sit and theory craft all you want. It's actually gonna be point number 3. You can sit and theory craft all you want, but it's not going to get you anywhere. And then on top of that, with social media adding to that, you're isolated and then you're just scrolling all day. And now, I should be done scrolling by now. So if you saw my feed is all over the place on every single social media platform. It is all over the place. Even when I try to tailor it, it's still messy. And imagine that. Imagine getting all this mindless information, getting parsed in and out. And then, as I call like the white noise, it's just like, when I mean by white noise, I mean like that, from the TV that used to play in like those old TVs. Yeah, sorry, not in my mouth. So you're getting all this stuff, and now you're a tinker, and you're gonna just be like, man. That today you'd be like, man, this me. You'd be thinking like, man, I could be funny. Just look at all these memes. And then the other one is like, man, I could be so successful right now. Imagine I was successful. Imagine I had all the money in the world, and now. And on Twitter, it's just like, man, this fight is dumb. I should be fighting right now. Or it's like, this person has a dumb take. I should go dismantle this take. So, and I'm sure everybody's feed is going to be naturally different. Like I said, mine is just naturally just chaotic. But imagine like you have all this chaos and you're just thinking about, man, I am by myself and I can't figure it out for the life of me. Like, it's just... It's just adding on to it. And now, of course, imagine now I was mindlessly scrolling on social media. Oh, it gets even worse. And so now I'm gonna read some quick stuff about like the idea of like what goes on when you mindlessly scroll. Is essentially that when you mindlessly scroll through your social media feeds or endlessly browse the internet, your brain undergoes a complex series of reactions. One of the key players in this process is dopamine. I'm sure we all know how this chemical works, but just quickly, dopamine, often referred to as the feel-good neurotransmitter, is released when you encounter something enjoyable or rewarding. Each time you see a new post or receive a notification, your brain releases a small burst of dopamine, creating a pleasurable sensation. This encourages you to keep scrolling in search of the next dopamine hit. While dopamine keeps you engaged, mindless scrolling can also trigger your body's stress response. Constant exposure to social media, much of which may be stressful or negative, can elevate your stress levels. This combination of pleasure and stress can create a paradoxical addiction to scrolling. So now, we've gone over. This person's always in their head. They're always thinking about what could be or what they could do. And now add on to the mindless scrolling, you have the perfect loop of just you are always thinking about what could be happening and you're not really thinking about what it is that you're doing or what you could act or putting in the work to actually progress yourself into the future. So, anyways, the point is, especially for these first 2 points, is the fact that when your mind is literally given nothing to do, it is going to run wild. And adding to the outside factors that could add into this, like how you grew up, all this stuff, it's basically a way to invite a mess into your head. And so, and this is like very concerning because if you're just there, you're just gonna take up space. You're not achieving what you could be achieving. And that's really like what happens. And of course, naturally, just to give some perspective, I could definitely see myself in some aspects of the thinker, especially the one like what could be done. That will mess you up, especially if you're someone who likes to break down your steps over and over again. Who wants to be like, okay, I want to do this. What if I do it this way? Blah, 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 blah. And so the point is that the thinker is always going to stay where they are most comfortable, in their head. But their head is not always the best place for them to be in.
There are a couple of other things at play. So as we become thinkers, we start to become worse at life. Right? Because thinking is useful. So when thinking is combined with experience, this is when things go well. Right? So let's say I'm playing a game of League of Legends or Valorant or Dota or StarCraft or whatever. SF6. We're going to pick SF6 today. So I can theory craft all I want in Street Fighter 6. It doesn't actually make me good at the game. And if all I do is I play mindlessly, I'm also not going to be good at the game. If I never think about my games, I'm never going to be good. So success in life comes from the combination of thought plus experience. But what happens with the thinker is that they don't have any experience. They just have thoughts.
This part right here is probably the number one reason, I believe, why the thinker even manifests in the first place. Well, yes, the previous point was talking about the factors that get us to there. This one has to be the most important part, okay? And let me tell you why, okay? So the reason why this part is like the key part about this whole situation is because if you have no experience, you're going to make up an experience, or you're going to at least you're going to not form something that was never there in the first place. That's why he is the thinker, Mr. Tinkerman. Mr. Tinkerman doesn't do any action, doesn't try anything. They just sit there and they just think about it of what could happen or how we could get this done or how you can make progress. This part is so important because when you break it down, when you're not trying stuff, like when you think about being successful, no one talks about the interim steps of getting there. It's a lot of work sometimes, it's a lot of trying, and a lot of failure. Okay? There's a lot of stuff that's going to try that's not going to work out. Okay? And failure doesn't mean it's a bad thing. But however, to a thinker, failing once can mean like to be the end of the world in your state. It's like, you know what? I'm going to revert back into my head. I'm just going to stay there. Because at least in my head, everything goes well. When the reality is that your room is filthy, everything is not making sense, you lost a bunch of friends, and you're just sitting there all alone. And you're now trying to think. That's an extreme example, but a lesser example, like you just don't go outside as much, your grades are doing bad, whatever. The point is, Like your head, while it can be a great thing to be in when it's times of like reflection or something, if you too much of something is a bad thing. If you reflect too much, you're gonna start missing out on some stuff. Right? That's why you gotta like interchange it. And so that's why when I see stuff like there was like a boon, but it's like when I see stuff about people being like, I'm 25, I have no friends. I'm this year's, I have no friends, or I have no friends at this age, or I'm happy by myself. It's just like that can contribute to the thinker because the thinker is going to be like, well, I tried having friends, it doesn't work, so I'm just going to leave it alone. And also, I'll say this much too. I saw something along the lines of like malls are getting coming like less popular or something like that. Like malls are closing down. I remember like even like whatever middle school or something. Like the mall used to be like the hangout spot. Okay, used to go to the mall, used to just go and hang out and have some fun. Okay, stuff like I mean even if you want to go further back, there's stuff like arcades and stuff. But the whole idea is that there's essentially like a community place that people could go to. And so when you have that community place, it's like, well, okay, I can go here, I can go hang out, I can do this and that. Okay, I have other people with me, we're gonna have a good time. But now, especially post COVID, it's so awful because it's just like, well, I can actually stay at home and not do anything. I can work from home, I can get my groceries from home, I can do this and that. I don't have to leave my house. I can get everything that I need to do without leaving my house. I can get an AI girlfriend, whatever it is that you need to get, AI boyfriend, whatever. Okay? This is the like really key point. If you don't try new stuff, then you're just gonna reinforce your thinking, your negativity. Okay, and you have some like negativity bias that swoops in and all that stuff, but you get the point. And now, to end off on a bit more positive note, how could we stop like the tinker from being that way? So it's very simple actually, and even Dr. K mentioned in his video, and I agree with it a lot. Practice. That's literally what it comes down to. You have to practice different stuff. Or hell, I'll even expand upon it further. Practice and try something you would never normally do. For example, this video, I usually wouldn't make this video actually. I would cover news or something, but I want to try something a bit different, you know? Try something new. So that's really what it comes down to. And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, then I know it doesn't work and we can try something again. That's how you have to approach it. And it really and that's what separates you from probably maybe 90% of other people. You are willing to take a chance on something. A lot of people like to stay in their zone and like to stay comfortable. I like to stay comfortable. You probably like to stay comfortable. Why? Because it's what you know. But you'll never be able to grow as a person. You'll never be able to get to that next level unless you take a risk. Okay? That's what it comes down to. So if you don't want to be a tinker, be a well, in business it's called calculated risk. Okay, don't skydive for no reason, and don't go rodeo riding if you don't know what you're doing. Okay, whatever it is. But the point is like, yeah, maybe try talking to that person that you haven't talked to in a while. Give him a holler, see what's up. Or maybe it's the other person, or maybe it's like I haven't ridden my bike in a little while. Let me go ride my bike. I haven't been to the gym. Let me go to the gym. Or I haven't sat and played a video game, enjoy myself. Go play a video game, enjoy yourself. Okay, just don't overdo it. You know what I mean? Like, find a way to make time for you. And not just make time for you. Make time to let yourself try something that's different, outside of the box. That's how you not be a tinker, anyway. Woo! Oh, man. That was a long one. Heavy topic. But anyways, I enjoy these type of discussions. They always help me, become better at, tackling this stuff. And even if something's not in my field, I can still give it a chance to learn about it. So, I'd like to know your guys' thoughts on the stuff down below. Are you a 25-year-old thinker? Do you spend too much time in your head? Do you also want to get out of your head? Well, I'd like you to comment down below and we can have a little chat about it. And of course, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and follow the socials down in the description below. And with all that, yeah, stay out of your head, guys. Ciao.